I'm very happy to be here, especially since I have been traveling for 2 days to get here. It's only a 3-hour flight from Helsinki to Brussels, but unfortunately we had a heavy snowstorm yesterday, so I couldn't be here yesterday. I want to tell you openly that my presentation is not about IT infrastructure, it's about sharing meeting information needs of members of parliament. That was supposed to be yesterday, but I'm going to handle the topics that are relevant to IT infrastructure that we speak here today. So I'm going to skip some slides and just show you my viewpoints of IT infrastructure relating to information needs of members of parliament. Some background information. When I decided to make this presentation, I asked our parliament members how they feel, what are the most important information needs they have. It turned out quite obviously that what they want is they want to know about parliament's works. That means different kind of documents, you could say parliamentary documents, etc. Also important to them is what is going on in the world. That means news in general, and news of any topic that they are especially interested of. For instance, if they are proposing a bill on healthcare, they are obviously interested about everything that is going on in that area. There is one interesting thing if you think about information and information technology, is that we often think about technology as a means of getting something. When I think of technology, I think about how to get information, for instance. But technology, it's not a one-way street. I mean that you have to also think of how to produce information, how to produce data, and today more and more you have to think about how to share data with others, how to communicate with others. And what I mean is that different collaboration services come more and more important today. It's like sharing video, audio, sharing documents, different digital workspaces, for instance. You have to be aware of that the world is changing somewhat in that field. A note of how people tend to work today. We all know that. I'm not going to read this slide. Most of the people here today have been talking about mobility. Mobility is obviously important. We all know that since we all work mobile. None of us is today at his or her office room working. We are all working here. So obviously what we need about information architecture or infrastructure is availability to use mobile solutions. I have a background in computing science as well as in management. It means that I can talk to both to our internal customers, like I call them, and I can talk to administrative staff, and I can also talk computing language, so to speak. What I have seen is interestingly that if you think about IT infrastructure or architecture, you often sort of jump into solutions. I feel that what you should first think of, like Mr. Viegas here pointed out, that you have to think about attaching architecture to your business goals. You have to first think what you want to do, and you have to also think where you want to do it. And you also have to think about how you want to do something and with what kind of devices you want to do something. This is a good slide. It's actually, I think it's great since it dates from year 2002, so it's a 6-year-old slide. And it shows the idea we have at the Finnish Parliament. This is the way we build our information systems today. What this means is that you can see different services we have. You can also see different placements and devices we have. So we have decided what we want to do, and we also have decided where we want to use these systems that our architecture provides. Obviously, you have a fixed location, your office room, and there you have different kind of devices. At your office room, you have your desktop computer, obviously. You also have mobile needs, and you have different devices to fulfill those mobile needs. What you want to do if you think about your IT architecture is you must define with what kind of devices you want to use your systems. You also want to define, I think, you want to define different interfaces and different data structures to build on your architecture or infrastructure. You are going to end with a situation where you have different kind of databases. For instance, you might be able to standardize them, but in the end, what you must standardize is your data architecture and different application interfaces. I feel that's the way to go if you talk about IT infrastructure. One interesting viewpoint talking about IT infrastructure here is one thing we often tend to forget is human beings. We think about ICT as being instance of its own without people. I noticed this when I was talking to MPs and asking about their information needs, and I was told that computers are great if you want to make quite simple searches or queries. You get your data quite quickly and your database is usually huge. But if you want to analyze that data or produce new data so that you combine different sources and make analysis and produce data, then what you're going to need is a research person to do it for you. And I feel that if we speak about architecture or infrastructure, we must not forget the human being. Let's not forget the human factors. Also, that is people who work with these machines and who actually give these services. About our intranet. Our intranet, this is an example of infrastructure, actually. Our intranet today, it's a collection of databases. It's a collection of internal databases, and you can find every parliamentary document dating from 1991 from our intranet. It means every plenary document, committee document, proposed bills, etc., everything. So it's actually a combination of large databases that can provide you information. You have quite good search capabilities, and the documents are linked together so that relevant documents are linked to each other. So that what you really have is you have a sort of internal Yahoo or Google into parliamentary documents and parliamentary work from almost 20 years now. Also, what we have is a collection of links and services and databases that are produced outside the parliament. It means that we have different services linked, like for instance Finnish legal database, so that from our intranet MP or assistant or civil servant can look through different databases, legal databases, news services, etc., etc. Like you have a large sort of parliamentary Yahoo or Google, as I said. How to manage this is actually where you need standardization. What you end to have, you have different databases, you have different tools, you have different techniques, but you have to have a sort of standardized view to a person where all this can connect to. And what you have to do is you have to standardize connections or interfaces. Otherwise, you won't be able to do it. That's actually how I feel. This shows some picture of what kind of different services connect to our intranet. Worth noting is that our public site also has almost the same data, if you think about parliamentary documents, as our internal site. That www.eduskunta.fi is our parliament's public website's address in Finnish. What it really means is that MP, if he or she is traveling, has almost exactly the same data as if he was at his office room. So it helps them to work a lot when they are traveling. They can get access to every parliamentary document from 91 to this date from our public website. After all, Parliament's work is public, so there's no need to hide those documents from public. It also helps citizens, if they are interested in politics, to find out what is going on or what has been decided in the last 20 years. We also have started to broadcast our sessions online, that is web TV to us, an interesting thing to know. About IT infrastructure, we have been discussing about mobility a lot. I want to share with you the information that also in Finland we have started using laptops more effectively. Here important thing is the use case number 2, that is laptop in the parliament, meaning in the parliament's wireless LAN. It's a new solution to us. Not technologically new, but as a service it's a new one. We have defined a use case in such a way that if a person takes his laptop out of the docking station at the office room, he or she can walk into any meeting room or office room at the parliament, and he has exactly the same services as if he was using a desktop computer. It actually means that you don't have to close any applications, you don't have to close your email, you don't have to close your documents, you don't have to do anything, you don't have to have a VPN connection, you don't have to have a remote desktop. You actually have your desktop computer, so to speak, with you all the time, as long as you are connected to Parliament's wireless LAN network. It's all based on the idea that we have a certificate at Parliament's laptops, and when a laptop detects that it's within the Parliament's wireless LAN, it automatically connects to a wireless LAN and sends the certificate, and the services you get is exactly as if you were connected with a desktop computer. That's a nice thing to know that it's doable. Another thing, if you think of a broader view, is that how would you feel, would MPs be happy to have this kind of solution? We have started to ship out these laptops at the beginning of November, and we have managed to give, let's say, half of our MPs these laptops. How do you think, would they be happy? Well, some of them are really happy to have them. Some of them think, okay, this is a new kind of way to work, it's good to have it, and let's see if something comes out of it. And then the thing I want to point out to you, some hate it. There are people who have been, let's say, well, maybe hate is a bit too strong word, but let's say that I've had a strong criticism from some members of parliament saying that it should not be allowed to use computers at the parliament, at the committee room or meeting rooms or anywhere else, that it completely ruins the way we work today. That's again the human factor you have to consider if you think about IT infrastructure. It's a small minority, but you still have to think about it, meaning that if you're developing new kind of solutions, new kind of architecture, you don't want to make too large developing steps. It means that some people sort of can't follow or turn against you, saying that we don't want to do it. It's again something you must keep in mind. Well, mobile phones as well, important to us like for many of us here. It might be good to know that we've had mobile solutions for years, like email, calendar data to our mobile phones. It's not new to us. It has proved to be very efficient, and our parliament members like it a lot. About the future, about IT infrastructure, it's good to know that as well as we have this parliamentary laptop, we also try to make a solution where you can have a VPN access from your mobile phone to Parliament's intranet, so that what you get is actually that large database of parliamentary documents to your mobile phone. I don't yet know if it's doable, if it's technologically ready, but we are going to pilot it, I would say, year 2009. The technology is there, but we don't know if it works yet. I'm running out of time, so I'm going to skip the rest of the slides. I hope that this presentation gave you some ideas and some information. If then, I'm happy. If you want to contact me later, ask any questions, there's my email address and my phone number. And I thank you all for listening. Thank you.